Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll keep trying whenever the
No,
Facebook
it's like, it's, yeah. It's
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. We apologize for this technical glitches. They happen every once in a while. We really apologize. Thank you, Nubari Sata, for being here. And we're also waiting for Kofi to join us again. He's also held back by a few technical issues. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah. Welcome to this special Elanhub event. Elanhub is a news media website dedicated to offering conventional and not so conventional perspectives on issues of societal interest. Today, we're delving into the subject of the NDDC Conundrum, and it's geared towards making sense of the very troubling narratives from the key actors of the government agency. The NDDC is actually the Niger Delta Development Commission. It was created under President Olusegun Obasanjo in the year 2000 to address the legitimate concerns of people living in the Niger Delta region. The Niger Delta region comprises of 9 states in Nigeria, including Rivers, Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, Abia, and Ondo states. Today, to help us untangle what we have described as the NDDC conundrum and what several people have described as an embarrassment, cesspool of corruption, are Mr. Sata Nubari. Sata, you're welcome to elanhub.net.
Thank you very much for having me.
We also have in the house Daniel. Why Daniel is as Elanhub as I am, but he is a media practitioner and journalist. He is also head of branding, online media, and events management with Heat Echo. Daniel prefers to act from the shadows, but today he's here. We're excited that he's put his face on camera for the first time. So thank you so much for being here. You're welcome, Daniel.
Many thanks for having me.
Okay, great. So the last guest is Kofi. Again, Kofi is struggling with connection because it's somewhere, I think, in Bayelsa, and there's a bit of issue connecting there. But he will join us as soon as possible. Okay, so before we start talking about this, I would just like to relay what the issue, the thing we've now called the NDDC conundrum. And we'd like our guests to just have a conversation. And if you have questions, remember, you can just use the Q&A button on Zoom. We'll process your questions and our guests will respond to them. Or if you have for me, that's fine. We'll also respond to them. Okay, to lay the stage here. Okay, Kofi is here. I'm sure Kali will find a way to bring him on board, but Kofi he's connected now. October 17, 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari tweeted as follows, and I'm going to read it out. He said, "I have ordered a forensic audit of the NDDC. With the amount of money the federal government has allocated to the NDDC, we'd like to see the results on the ground. Those that are responsible for that have to explain certain issues." I think the reasoning behind this tweet may have been maybe personal or some things he was hearing, but in the media, Budget, the civic tech organization in Nigeria in 2019, June 25th exactly, they published an article where they said the NDDC has so far received $40 billion. That's an equivalent of $15 trillion. I think the president may have reacted to this report because, as you can see from this tweet here, he said something about the amount of money located to the NDDC. And so on the 30th of October 2019, he set in motion the interim management committee. Sorry for that. The interim management committee with Bene Joy Nuni as the acting dean. I think a few months later, we also had that Professor Daniel Pandey was also part of the NDDC. Let's take us into this report. I'm just trying to lay the stage here, what we're talking about. We had reports from the Senate Ad Committee investigating misappropriation in the NDDC, and they said to us, and 4 months, 4 years between 2015 and 2019, as published in The Guardian, by the way, that there were many cases of extrajudicial spending or extra budgetary spending. The NDDC has spent about 1.3 trillion naira. And then they talked about process errors and infractions. They also mentioned that they found out that the NDDC has spent 4.9 billion naira to staff. They had issued money to staff for numerous allowances, including COVID-19 relief or palliatives, tour duty allowances, overseas travels, and international ships, even when there was a sources of flights abroad. This was during the COVID lockdown period. My first question will be, of course, you will try to untangle all of this for us, but most importantly, I want to find out the whole issue of NDDC is also a question of identity and Nigeria and placing ourselves, who are we, and what gives us the right to take ownership of these labels. And I'd like to start with Sata. Sata, you describe yourself in various ways. You said you're an Ogoni, you talk about being a Niger Delta, and of course, I went through your tweets and I went through your Facebook and I saw lots of narratives. And of course, being a member of the Niger Delta Congress, some people said to me that you're the face of New Niger Delta struggle. Tell me, why do you identify as a Niger Delta? Hello? Sata, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Did you get my question then?
You actually cracked network.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Let me just take that back again. I was saying that you've heard everything that's happening at the NDDC. But what I want to establish first is, why do you identify as a Niger Delta? Because you describe yourself as an Ogoni, a Niger Delta, an activist, an advocate, if you like. But why? Because for us to talk about any Niger Delta related issue, we want to find out, who are you? And I think that's at the core of the conversation. Why do you describe yourself? Why do you take ownership of that name in Niger Delta?
Well, I'm someone that has studied a lot of my history, as the history of the Ogoni people, and also the history of the Niger Delta people, especially as it relates to the country Nigeria. So I understand what Nigeria itself is. And Nigeria is set up simply to exploit the Niger Delta and the Niger Delta people. So once you understand that, without the exploitation going on, there will be no Nigeria, you need to understand that you need to take ownership of your region, take responsibility for what needs to be done, because there is an identity part of what is actually happening to the region. And if you're out there feigning being Nigerian, you miss the real issue that is happening. You tend to look at everything as a flat board. Well, why it's not like that? So I prefer to identify with my people and their struggle, and try as much as possible to mobilize them to achieve what they want to achieve. And identifying as a Nigerian beats that purpose. It doesn't work hand in hand with that.
Okay, so you're saying that your Niger Delta-ness is as a result of birth, because you're an Ogoni man. Is that what makes you a Niger Delta?
No, I'm a Niger Delta because I live in the Delta of the Niger.
Okay.
Just like so many other ethnic groups live here, and our issues are actually the same.
Okay. All right.
The issues that we're all struggling about, we are all suffering from, is the same.
Okay.
So I think it is better to organize and have that common identity, since not everybody is an Ogoni man. Unlike Southeast Nigeria, that that most persons are Igbos. Southwest, most persons are Yorubas. But in the Niger Delta, it's different.
Okay.
You have Ogonis, you have the Ikoris, you have the Jaws.
Okay.
So it's good to have that identity, that one umbrella where you can always come under, and that's the Niger Delta.
Okay, I'll take that on board, because I'm going to frame my questions based on some of the things I've already said. Okay, so I will switch now to Kofi, and it's the same question. Kofi, can you hear me, please? Kofi, I think your mute button is on, so.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Did you get my question? I would like to throw the same question back at you to say, what makes you a Niger Delta? And I've been on your Facebook page, I've interacted with you, I've asked people about you, and there's just this common thread. Every time you say something about the Niger Delta, lots of people react. So lots of engagement on your page. Every time you talk about the Niger Delta, you describe yourself as a Deltan and then an advocate, an activist, and you have lots of things to say about the region. But before we start talking about the NDDC, I want to find out, who are you? Why do you identify as a Niger Delta? What gives you ownership of that identity?
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, clearly we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for coming late. It's due to network and the rest of it.
We understand.
Yeah, like as the question rightly goes, I'm in Niger Delta. I was born here in the Niger Delta. First, even before Nigeria, I'm in Niger Delta, and I'm from Ogbia, and it's just settlement here in Bayelsa State. So, being an Ogbia man has made me an Ijaw man by birth and by origin. First of all, like I've said before, I'm in Niger Delta before even becoming a Nigerian. So I think that's just it. I'm a Niger Delta, a core one who believes in the aspiration of our marginalized people for a very long time. So that's why everywhere we go, we tell people I'm a Niger Delta, a core one.
Okay. All right. So I would like to throw again the same question to White. You talk about passionately about the NDDC. I've been through your tweets. I remember there was a time you were talking about, oh, what has the NDDC done? And you made bold to say, for example, that you haven't benefited anything. And I think that's a core of your being and part of the things that you talk about or write about. So tell me, why do you take ownership of this label in Niger Delta? That's if you accept, or that is how you choose to identify yourself today.
Thank you very much. Nigeria is a multifaceted ethnic ground. And at the end of the day, there must be some sort of identification with one of these ethnic groups. And I happen to have been born, raised, and of course, lived most of my life in the Niger Delta. And by what I have seen and by what I have known, and by everything that happens, which are all tied to politics, it is by nature that I only identify as Niger Delta man as well. And not just because of where I grew up, not just because I lived there, but because at the end of the day, that is where it boils down to, the identity of where I actually come out from.
Okay, I'd like to also say that we're live on Facebook now. So if you have friends or you want to tweet it out or something, this is the time to do so. I'll switch now back, having established the whole issue of identity. I think the running thread here is you're born in the Niger Delta, so by birth, identify as a Niger Delta by birth. And then there's the other issue of location, which means to some extent, if you were born in the north, say in Kaduna, or say you were born in Lagos, will you still be interested in the conversations about the Niger? Do you think you would have still been interested in this thing that, for example, Kofi labels aspiration and marginalization of the people? Will you be this passionate about these conversations? Does the fact that you're in Niger Delta make you concerned of humanity? What does it mean? Okay, all right. Okay. I got that. Same thing for you, White? Or is there a larger here, apart from being born here? Is a sense of ownership and concern for the issues of the Niger Delta born from your being part of the Niger Delta? I think we lost White there. Kofi, what about you? If you were born in the north, would it be different?
It won't be different. Hello, I guess you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, even if in the north, it won't be different because we have found ourselves, because of the so-called unholy marriage done by Lord Lugard in 1914 amalgamation, we are all Nigerians. Like, for instance, as I'm here in Bayelsa, even as much as the Niger Delta issues, our struggles, aspirations, every day we are talking about them. I still feel about people in the north, like the recent killing in southern Kaduna. Even today, as I went to church, I was praying for the people of Kaduna. Some group of people start killing people. So even if it happens anywhere as a Nigerian, I will lend my voice, not just because I'm a Niger Delta. I'm against marginalization everywhere in the world. So that's just it.
Okay. All right, great. So back to Sata now. Let's now
Hello?
talk about issues. Yeah, I can hear you. Sata, I'll come back. I'm coming back to you now to talk about really the issues I've been hearing in the media. So when you heard about all that's going on, the issues of misappropriation of funds in the NDDC, or for example, if you saw the tweet in 2019, what the president said, were you among those that were really excited? Because lots of people on social media were really excited and they actually applauded him for setting in motion a 19-year probe. What were your thoughts at the time?
Funny enough, I didn't follow that particular news. Honestly speaking, I see the NDDC as a distraction. I see it as an obfuscation of the issue in the Niger Delta. The Niger Delta people have never asked for a commission. All these have just been used to beat around the bush and avoid the main issue that concerns the region, which is environmental and economic justice. So I've never really focused on that news, but it's a welcome development. You saw the revelations that have come out of it. But the truth is, these same revelations will come out of every agency if you decide to probe. So it's not unique to the Niger Delta at all.
Okay. Well, what was your immediate response? What was it like, immediate reaction when you heard about monies being misappropriated? For example, when Ponde showed up at the HOR to talk about 1.5 billion as palliatives to themselves, what was your immediate reaction? Were you angry? Were you disturbed? What was your reaction?
It was I was angry, then I was a little bit embarrassed.
Okay. The embarrassment
the truth
was
is that you cannot tap palm oil from a palm wine tree. I've never expected anything from the NDDC. So whatever is happening there does not really surprise me. It only angers me and embarrasses me. But it doesn't surprise me because I've never been expecting anything from the NDDC. The NDDC as it was structured is functioning how exactly it was made to function. If the NDDC was set up to actually develop the Niger Delta region, it would have been set up in a way that it would have actually been able to achieve those goals. But the NDDC was not set up for that purpose.
wow. I'd like to dig more into what you said. You said a couple of things here. You were not expecting anything from the NDDC. The NDDC was set up to fail. We're going to dig into all of this. But let me switch now to White and ask this question. When you heard, as a journalist, an active one, when you heard all these revelations coming out as a result of the NDDC, what was your immediate response, your reaction? What were you thinking?
Okay, for me, I wasn't surprised, and it is something that is not the first time, if anybody can recall in history, that a president has given an order that there should be an investigation or a probing into this particular agency. And it's just an agency that has metamorphosed from other agencies. If you can recall, Umpadec, even NATI, even if the confab didn't really capture that also, as well as the now proposed petroleum PIB, petroleum industry bill as well. So it's just, I've always known that it is an agency that would always fail because of, there's always been this issue of inclusion and representation as well. And that is what has been failed from the very start of the I knew that as long as there's an issue of inclusion and representation, we're always going to have this. Representation in this aspect of politics. When you put up a political structure, when you put a political structure like this, the people who put it up will also decide the players as well. Now, these players may not necessarily represent what was the purpose of why it was put up for in the first place. And that is the reason why you always see things like this. And secondly, I've always come to my understanding, this is the way that Nigeria is designed to function. And when there is some sort of, it's only an issue because there is some sort of a lack of access to opportunities to be a part of those who are in the dysfunction or those who are trying to make a change. And that is why organizations are always going to be birthed, NDDC. Movements are always going to be birthed, social movements actually. We've seen a couple of them from men to the others. So for me, it wasn't surprising, but it is also a time that people who are from the Niger Delta and Nigeria in a whole must reflect, because what's happening in the NDDC is not peculiar to the NDDC, and it's a Nigerian thing. But however, as I mentioned earlier, it's a system that is a political structure And it's just showing us how representation and narratives are being put out there.
Okay, so like Sata, I agree. You're also saying that the NDDC was set up to fail. Kofi, what do you think? What do you think? I know that lots of interruptions your end, but I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. What do you think when you had all these things going on, or your immediate thoughts? Or like White and Sata, are you also taking the hardline position to say the NDDC was supposed to fail, and so if it's failed, let's be done with it?
Okay, I think for me, you're hearing me, right?
Yes.
Okay, for me, what I think, the NDDC was not set up to fail. The Obasanjo administration in 2000 set up NDDC as an interventionist agency to deal on infrastructure development of the Niger Delta region. Because I think for me, when Obasanjo was president, he knew, even as a military head of state then, in the late 80s, maybe 70s, Obasanjo knew how important the Niger Delta region is. Our oil, we sustain, in fact, we sustain the whole Nigeria as a whole, as a country. But when you come to the Niger Delta, we look so poor, underdevelopment, no water, no light, no road. So I think our people clamor. This was the same reason why Isaac Boro and the rest of them, they took up arms against the federal government of Nigeria. Now, Obasanjo, being a president, decided after I think some interactions with people and fact-finding, he established the NDDC as an interventionist agency to propel developments in the Niger Delta. But it's unfortunate that this interventionist agency has been turned to a cash cow by politicians. For me, I think the NDDC was not set up to fail. It was set up to address the core issues we are having in the Niger Delta. Now, for the issues in the NDDC, you hear about the trillions and billions of nairas that have come into NDDC. But it's unfortunate that when you go around the Niger Delta state, you don't see development. How come for the past minutes we are hearing about trillions and billions, no water, no road, no pipe-borne water? I don't know if my colleagues, the panelists, they have traveled to some areas in the Niger Delta. You will weep for people. Let me give you, for instance, the people of Abua Odua local government. If you want to access some communities in Abua local government, in fact, there is no road. No road. You cannot go there, even in Ogoni land, some areas in southern Ijo, Ekeremo, and some areas in Ogbia. You find out that there is no road that is linking this our people. Some persons in Bayelsa have not come to Yenegua before because there are no roads. Yet we have an interventionist agency where people just share money anyhow. So I think the NDDC was not set up to fail, but our brothers and sisters that have been at the helm of affairs in NDDC, they are just the problem. Haven't you noticed or realized that anybody that becomes ND or chairman of NDDC, after 3 or 4 years, you see the person contesting for governorship? It's because the person has made a lot of cash there in NDDC, frivolous contracts. So for me, I'm happy what is happening now in the Niger Delta. It has exposed our people. And they shouldn't forget that it was because of this same NDDC people took up arms. As the Borough took up arms, Asare Dokuba and the rest of them, they took up arms against the federal government because we are being marginalized. But now the marginalization is no longer there. That's why I wrote sometime on my Facebook wall that all those teachers in my school that have told me that the Northerners are the ones impoverishing the Niger Delta people, they should apologize to me because they did wrong to me by telling me that. Because I've come to realize that our brothers and sisters, they are the problem in the Niger Delta area.
Okay, just pause there now. You've talked about a lot of things, but we'll come back full circle.
So
I just want to read out
that the Niger Delta was not set up to fail, it was set up to address.
Okay. All right, Kofi, we'll come back to you.
Okay.
I just want to read out some of the things that have been going on by way of reaction from some of the major names or stakeholders of the Niger Delta, because I think all these stories bust kind of. People were on Twitter saying, oh, where are the Niger Deltans? How come they're not saying anything? How come they're not in the streets? Why are people not disturbed? Why no protests? And then suddenly I said, because of what we do at Elanhub, covering stories every day, we said, sort of sifting out what these people were saying. For example, Dakuku Peter Side, you know who he is, he described the crisis rocking the NDDC as an embarrassment. Also, Jokocha had this to say. He said, people should not expect anything of the probe, as many of the investigators are implicated. The commission has failed. And now Sarah Igbe had this to say. He said he wants the EFCC to wade into the crisis and bring the guilty to book. Hilda Dokubo, in quite a lengthy video on her Instagram page, made very passionate. In fact, she broke down the 1.5 billion that the NDDC people used as palliative to themselves, and she had this to say. She said if they had given 1,500 youth this money, they would have been able to empower them with 1 million each. She said if they had decided instead to give it, maybe they felt 1 million was too much, and they gave 500,000, that 3,000 persons would have been empowered, or they would have chosen to give the money to rural women, giving them about 200K each, and about 7,500 of these women that are raped and attacked when they go to pick periwinkle on the creeks would have been empowered. These are all they had to say. And there's been lots of reactions. I'm saying this because of what Kofi said. They said the teachers, they owe him apology. It's not a problem of the North, but instead it's like a self-inflicted wound. Let's take, for example, now, based on what you and Sata and White, what you've said, the NDDC was settled to fail. What would have been the other way around? I mean, there's a problem in the NDDC or in the Niger Delta region. And then the government says, let's put together an agency to address your concerns. And we're not going to take people from the outside. We're going to use your people in the Niger Delta region to address these concerns. And then they're falling apart. Where did the government go wrong? I'm asking Sata because you have made this kind of macro political argument about the NDDC was designed to fail. Where did the government go wrong?
Let me first of all correct some things that Kofi said that I do not agree with. It was Obasanjo that put in place most of the laws that have taken or that have been used to marginalize the Niger Delta people. It was Obasanjo's government that set in motion the Land Use Act that has given the federal government the Niger Delta land. It was Obasanjo's government that put in place the Petroleum Act. When the NDDC was formed after Obasanjo perpetrated a genocide against the Jaws in Odi, it was after that the NDDC was formed. UNPADEC was formed after the government, the Sani Abacha government, executed Ken Saro-Wiwa. There's a pattern to this. I don't know if anybody here has heard of Inim Obasi. Inim Obasi is arguably a legend when it comes to the Niger Delta struggle. People like that don't get appointed into NDDC. You know of Patu Tomi, he's from the Niger Delta. People like that don't get appointed into the NDDC. You know of Ankyo Briggs, she's from the Niger Delta. These are people that off my head I can call. These are people that have the Niger Delta at heart. But these people are not the kind of people that you appoint to the NDDC, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that is that if you put this kind of people there, they will not be acquiescent to you. But no, you don't put them. You put the people there who are acquiescent. You put people who you can give commands, and they will be. That is why there will be a road that is being done in River State, and the contractor is in Jigawa, just like it's been done with High Prep now. The management company is in Maiduguri. So I don't agree when it was established to fail. That's it. It was established. You're beating around the bush. If you look at the Ogoni Bill of Rights, nowhere did the Ogoni people say we want a development board. The Ikwere Youth Charter, there's nowhere that the Ikwere people say they wanted a development board. The Kayama Declaration, there is nowhere there that they say they wanted a board. When Azikada Kaburu started his revolution in February of 1966, by then there was already a Niger Delta Development Board. Why was the Niger Delta Development Board formed? In 1957, prior to independence, there was a commission, the Henrik Willings Commission. That commission was instituted to check, look into the fears of ethnic minorities in Nigeria and find a means of allaying them. The minorities from the Niger Delta, that commission, wanted, what they were asking for was a Calabar Ogoja Rivers State. That commission ended. What came out of it? A Niger Delta Development Board. Beating around the bush. And that NDDB was there when Dakaburu started his revolution. Ken came out in 1995 with the Ogoni people and was saying, we need economic and environmental justice. The Nigerian state executed Ken. Then later on in 98, they set up Umpadek, beating around the bush again. Now, there's a huge difference between what people say is allocated and what is actually released. Umpadek had an allocation of 59 billion. What was released was 18 billion. But imagine if you use the 59 billion as an argument when you're discussing the corruption in Umpadek. The same thing has happened with the NDDC. NDDC was set up after your massacred Niger Deltans in OT. And it's that pattern. The other day you heard what the minister of Niger Delta, Gosiri Akpabio, was saying, that contracts are given to National Assembly members. Now, there's no reason, I have no reason to doubt that. Like I've said here, you can go past an NDDC signpost that is detailing the contracts and who is responsible for it. And you will realize that these things are correct. You have a contract here and it's given to somebody in Castina. It's so cool. Why? Because that is where the people who are heading this agency, that is where they get their power from.
So, Sata, what you're saying, there's no blame for the so-called stakeholders of the Niger Delta? Is that what you're suggesting?
Of course.
You're making reference to people outside the Niger Delta. Is there no blame at all for people in-house?
Of course, they are the people. The people in the Niger Delta deserve blame, but the blame I'll give to the Niger Delta people is that we have failed to show that actions have consequences. When Jesus Christ was in Israel, it was his own people that killed him. It is natural, it is normal for your own people to want to step up and want to benefit at your own expense. It's normal. And if you notice, these are the people that always get these positions. Again, that is how the system was created. You put the people there.
I get the point you're trying to make. You're saying that something goes wrong and then the government uses that as a cover to try to compensate. But while trying to compensate, they set up the structure in a way that will still favor them.
Exactly. So that they can still call the shots.
Okay. So, White, do you agree with his assessment totally, or you have a slightly different opinion, or what are you thinking about this?
I totally agree, and I look at the structure in the first place. Now, NDDC has a master plan. The master plan was copied from Germany, if anybody's aware about that, from a company called GTZ. Now, that master plan was always used for Alaska, and of course, Alberta in Canada as well. So what did they do? Before setting up those commissions, they went ahead, they had a record of everybody in terms of numbers who are staying in those places. They have people who were rightful owners of oil wells who are staying in those places. Before they set up anything, they were consulted, opinions were gathered, and conclusion was reached as to what method they were supposed to arrive in delivering the purpose why that was set up for. Now Nigeria, as we have always known for, lifted that master plan down here. So how does it work? You are an agency, you're in charge of awarding contracts. And these contracts, not more than 7% have been given to local contractors. You're the one monitoring, which is nothing is wrong with that. But you're the one. There is no party. There's no external party that involves the people who are the real, either the host communities or the key players in the first place. As I mentioned earlier, it's a political structure. So a new president gets into seats, appoints someone whose values are in line with his political party, or for some reason to go and head that particular commission. You don't go into findings and actually find that. Look, let's assume that it's an agency that is actually made to function. There is no proper research or investigation as to what the Niger Delta wants. Now, if you go to the NDDC website in the first place, as we speak, they don't have a compendium of all comparing in terms of details, proper details of all the projects that have taken place, the contracts that were involved, the people that were involved. In their website, you won't find that. And that's the reason why it has been harnessed. All this lack of details, lack of transparency and accountability has been harnessed to benefit some persons who are in the political structure. So I would agree that it's always...
The argument you're making is not so different from what people in the North will say. For example, now there's an investigation into 100 billion naira that's supposed to be for the Northeast Development Commission. I think some people are saying that the money has disappeared or something, or at least there's a probe. You go to the South, there are also issues, to the West now, there are also issues of misappropriation. And globally, Nigeria and corruption to some extent are synonymous, because everything you're trying to establish here is that there's something wrong with the system. And that problem lies within a particular class. And it's a question of power. So if that's the problem in the Niger Delta, that's the problem in the North, then what are we really dealing with? Are we dealing with a problem that's so entrenched within the system that we can't see our heads out? Or are we just tackling a minute problem somewhere that will not address the global concern or the larger concern? Is this not complicated then?
It's actually both, because first of all, when you already have a faulty system, you cannot build structures on that faulty system in the first place. So for an issue like that, all I'm actually saying is, if you want to carry out a project like that, there should be a proper inclusion to find out what these people actually really needed. And then whatever thing you're coming up with, there should be proper inclusion as well as access to people who actually owns them as well. You may say, okay, we have people who are from Niger Delta heading these particular positions, but there is no proper method of selecting who is actually representing these people and what they want. It's more like a political settlement platform.
Okay, I get the point where you say it may be a political settlement platform, but who is more Niger Delta than, say, for example, Bene Joy Nuni? I'll go back, Kofi, I'll come to you, but let me talk a little bit with Sata here. Who is more Niger Delta than that? Bonde is Niger Delta. Are we not still talking about the same issues? Don't we know what the problems are? And White, you're saying here that they don't do enough inquiry to find out what the people need. I think we're past that, really. They know what people need. They won't say they don't know that people don't lack education, or there are no bridges, or there are roads to be fixed. It's just a lack of willingness to do it, or the accountability process, which is what I'm referring to again, White. There's no transparency. Is that not what the issues are here? Rather than not knowing, rather than not presenting the facts as they should be. Sata.
If you pay attention to the NDDC, let's use from 2015 up till date. How many managements can you remember? You can't. They've had so many. Now I want you to think about something again. At what point in time do the issues of management of the NDDC come up? I'll tell you, during election. So there's a rerun election in River State. We have to reshuffle the NDDC board. There's an election going on in Bayelsa next year. We have to reshuffle the NDDC board. There's an election in Edo State, and all of a sudden there's another round to reshuffle the NDDC board. It's certain by the time you look at how these people move, you understand what all these things are all about. You need finance to execute these elections. So that's what the NDDC has. Somebody comes there and he approves 500 billion, 80 billion for contracts. For what? For elections. And that is who appoints them. The appointment doesn't come from the Niger Delta. It comes from the federal government. So the federal government is synchronized with these people. But there is no way anybody can say the federal government who make these appointments is not aware. There is no way anybody can say that. Okay. So whether or not you're appointing Niger Delta into it.
I know we're talking about the Niger Delta, but I want you, just before I switch to Kofi now, I want you to think about the problems within the states. think about the problem within the local government areas and see if there's really any difference here. But now, Kofi, to you. I went to your Facebook page and I saw that you started, I don't know if it was a campaign or you were just trying to inspire or trigger some kind of debate. You started a campaign called hashtag I Stand with Condé. What was that about, considering everything we've seen and heard from him?
Yeah, hello, you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
What I wrote concerning it was just like a joke. You know why I said it's a joke? Because I wonder why even upon their biological children, his brothers, his sisters, and everybody, nobody has ever supported him. Nobody is supporting him. So I just look now, nobody is supporting this man. Okay, make me a start with that. Let at least one person. So that was on the lighter side. That's just
okay.
it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing serious about
Well,
that.
you did ask another question, and I saw this one. What do you think is the way forward concerning the issue of systemic corruption in the NDDC? No abuse, your opinion is key. So respond to that question yourself. We've heard everything that everyone has said. I will dig a little bit again because I want both Sata and Nubari to think about state structures, local government structures. We're talking about lack of roads. What's real of the state? Are we getting the roads we need? Or is this just a problem of the federal government? Or we have larger concern here? But you respond to the question you asked, Kofi. What is the way forward? What do we do? Should we pack up and go? Should we just escape Nigeria?
The way forward for me, I think, is just we need men and women of value and integrity, technocrats, to be at the helm of affairs in NDDC. NDDC, like I said before, it wasn't established to fail, but people have failed us. Previous administrations and even the present one that are doing the IMC, they have failed us, in no doubt. But to an extent, before I answer your question, let me leave an impression here first. I think my colleague was saying that all the administrators that have been in NDDC, that they are being influenced by people in the north. That is true. But at the end of the day, who is at the helm of affairs is in Niger Delta. From the time of Edem Duke, Timi Alaibe, and the rest of them, they are all sons and daughters of the Niger Delta. Who knows what we are passing through? Even this Ponde that is there today knows what we are passing through, but it's unfortunate that they choose to tow a different path. So my way forward is this. The federal government should look for technocrats, men of respect, value, and integrity to man the head of the management of NDDC. Let me take it for instance.
Hold on, you continue, but who is more technocrat than a professor? Or, for example, I mean, look at these people. Have you looked at their profile? These are not. So tell us again, or mention one person.
For instance, Ponde is a medical doctor. And the issues of NDDC has to do with development. We need engineers, seasoned administrator. It's not a job for a professor, a medical professor. He's in the lab. He's not in the lab. The NDDC is not a lab. You're a medical doctor that is not an administrator.
Hold on. You remember the response that he gave with respect to, for example, Dr. Cairo Ojibo. They said most of the things, 60% of the contracts are health related. So it's 60% of the jobs. Then maybe we need a medical doctor. Or for example, NDDC is ill, as you guys, and maybe needs some cure.
It's unfortunate that Dr. Cairo Ojibo made that statement. Very, very unfortunate. NDDC, we are talking about infrastructure development. We are talking about good roads. We are talking about pipe-borne water. We are talking about environmental degradation, how to clean up our environment and get development. But it's talking about medical. What is medical? How much have they spent? How many persons have they given, what do they call it? How many persons have they cured with their billions spending on health issues in the Niger Delta? How many, what is this thing that they use, this corona thing? Life-saving machine, what do they call it? The equipment, kits that they use.
Ventilator?
Yes, ventilators. How many have they bought? How many have they bought? As I'm talking to you, I'm just few kilometers. There is more than 60 meters to the Nigerian Development and Content Board here in Bayelsa at Osbo Lake. Come and see this edifice that a Niger Delta, who is at the helm of that affairs, what he did here and what Nigerian Content Development Board are doing in Bayelsa and other parts of the Niger Delta. Come and see what they are doing here. Come and see their structure. Come and see the development and other things they are doing here. So NDDC, they don't have any right to even fail. It's unfortunate that everybody, this is my turn, let me go there and make money. So we need men and women of integrity who knows the problem of the Niger Delta to man that place. Like our brother, he called Anthony Briggs and the rest of them. It's unfortunate that because of politics, all these persons are being sidelined. It's only for political reasons they look one loyalty side politics and they bring it. Let me tell you something. When Ponde was appointed as the head of IMC, people were not happy. Nobody, I don't think that anybody congratulated him because people don't even know him. They just picked even the APC members in Bayelsa did not celebrate him. Not APC members in Rivers State or any states of the Niger Delta, because people are wondering, where is this man coming from? They went to a classroom in Amasoma, NDU, and brought a professor. It's not bad, but it does not know, he's not abreast with the issues in the Niger Delta. That's why somebody is using him somewhere to fail. So we need men and women of integrity who know these issues. Like my friend here mentioned one name, Enimo Basi. That man is a core Niger Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers. Anywhere you go, everybody knows that man. But those kind of people, you will never see them. They will never. The governors that used to influence the appointments and the ministers, they will never look for such people. They will just look for their stooge. Somebody that will ask, they will ask that sign this contract, sign this contract. That is the kind of people they will put there.
Okay, so we're looking for men of integrity. That's one of the ways.
Yes.
Let's switch now to white. I said you guys should pause a moment and think about the issues at local government level, the issues state level. They're not similar. Don't we have the same issues of non-accountability, transparency, and all of that? Don't we have the same issues? White, what do you think?
Well, of course, we have the same issues, but peculiar to the Niger Delta. There are so many things that were actually neglected, and as I'll keep saying, first of all, the traditional landowners, the oil and business people who actually carry out businesses in those areas as well, these persons are not they're not incorporated into whatever decision is being taken. You cannot come and tell me about my own problems. I know what my problems are. I should be properly represented. I cannot feel represented when there is a man from should I say Akwa Ibom, is at the helm of affairs. I don't know how the structure of NDDC works. If it's down to a grassroots structure where there is some sort of representative at some point, and then again, maybe there needs to be some bank that is dedicated to the Niger Delta alone.
A bank?
Yes. Yeah, a bank.
What is bank?
Because first of all, we need to sort out this issue of allocation.
Data bank.
Sorry?
Is that a bank, money bank, or data bank?
No. A reconstruction bank.
Okay.
Yeah, a reconstruction bank. Let me put it that way. That properly gives that properly gives proper explanation to money that are coming in from the federal government and how it's being doled out. Then again, there are people who actually want to go into businesses as well. We shouldn't have one man giving out funds. Okay. No, if there's a bank in place, let it be accessible to everyone. Let this political say, okay, this is what we actually need. Then there's a team that goes down there, find out if this is actually a problem, and it's being sorted out. Because when there's no proper representation,
we have to really talk about this Daniel's Bank because it's a little bit complex. Are you saying that you want a place where everyone can access, or a particular group of persons can access? Because no matter what kind of structure you put in place, it has to be someone that's responsible for everybody else. And I think that's superstructure or the role that NDDC plays anyway. Because when you go to the NDDC, they talk about community representatives.
The NDDC is a complex structure. It needs to be simplified.
Right. Okay. All right. Maybe, yeah. Okay, so you talk about the state issue, but I want to take up with you, particularly where you got into some conversation with Tolu Ogunlesi. That's the president's essay on digital media on Twitter, and that's Satan. You had this conversation with him, and it got linked a little bit with PAGMI, the Presidential Artisan Gold Mining Initiative. Tell us a little bit what happened. How did that come about? Because I know that Twitter was ablaze that day and got into this kind of Twitter fights with him. What happened? What was the conversation about? Sasa, are you there? Sasa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't really. Yes, I can hear you. I don't really see it as a Twitter fight. I think I responded about thrice or thereabouts. I don't see. On the 16th of July, he actually put out a statement from his Twitter handle, and I downloaded that statement about PAGMI. That was the statement from PAGMI itself. And I went through it, and I saw similarities with what the Niger Delta people have been asking for decades now. Similarities with resource control that the Niger Delta people have been asking for. Like, for example, the PAGMI is talking about bringing together artisanal gold miners, helping to provide tools for them, providing the infrastructure, having the federal government through the central bank buying the gold from them, refining it, creating test centers, and all that. This has been what the Niger Delta people have been asking for a very long time. That we want to control our resources. We want to be able to benefit from our resources. But we don't benefit from our resources. That's why you can put Pondy there and they will just take money, because that's the only opportunity they are going to get. They'll actually be close to those resources. So it's through politics. Now, there is an issue about 57 oil fields that are being auctioned by the federal government. Now, the Niger Delta Congress have released a statement against that. PANDEV have released a statement against that. Ishekiri leaders released a statement against that. Then later on, they actually had a joint press conference with Ijaw leaders to speak up against that. Now, people are pretending like nobody sees it, that like nobody knows something like that is happening. But the Niger Delta people, we have been complaining and saying, we need to benefit from our resources. We are not in support of you coming to mine our resources, and we, the owners of it, we can't benefit. But what we suffer from the environmental degradation that comes from your exploration of our resources.
Okay, I have a copy of the tweet here. Let me read out what he was responding to. Then I'll ask you a specific question. He says here, or rather you tweeted, you said, Tolu, is there gold in Ogoni? No, but I have oil. So I want to mine my oil and sell to NNPC. And he responds, he said, sure, apply for an oil mining license. Everyone who mines oil legally in Nigeria has applied for and received a mining license. Same for everyone mining oil legally. Apply for a license. There are currently 57 marginal fields on offer, by the way. Are you aware? Did you apply? Unless, of course, you want to do illegal exploration and bunkering, in which case, when the law catches up with you, as it likely will, and as it does from time to time with illegal gold miners, you will have yourself to blame. So they have said to people in the north, come, mine, we'll give you a license. And they're saying this thing, he was responding to you to say, well, if you want to mine oil, come get a license. What is the problem here?
The problem is simple. There's a reason why Niger Deltans are not well represented in the oil industry, despite the fact that it is headquartered here.
Congratulations. So.
Is it possible? Is it possible by any?
Hold on.
Okay, Sandra, go on, please.
There is a reason why Niger Deltans are not represented in the oil sector. The ownership of oil wells is skewed against us. But this is something that originates from there. Do you think that it is possible that the over 50 different ethnic groups that inhabit this land are so daft, so stupid, incapable of thinking out ways to harness the resources in this region? It's not possible. God cannot create so many stupid people and put them in one place. It's not possible. It's only possible because you have created a system to take them out. Look at the Niger Delta. There is no functioning refinery in the Niger Delta. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why there's no functioning refinery, because you do not give economic power to the people that you're subjugating. It's just like giving an armed robber, giving you his gun to hold for him. Somebody's going to get shot. So for you to be able to continue to exploit and marginalize the Niger Delta people, you must ensure that they do not achieve economic buoyancy. You must ensure that they remain undeveloped. And that's what happens with this oil well. The Ogoni people stopped oil exploration on our land since 1995. People in Ijaw, the Shekilis, everybody's, why are they complaining? They are not benefiting. The people that are benefiting from these resources have set the system that way. So when issues like this come up, you see this gaslighting. That's what I see what he was doing as, gaslighting. As if the Niger Delta people just decided that, okay, no, we are not interested in harnessing our resources. We are just interested in shooting when the time comes and look for trouble. No, that's not what's happening. We want to be able to. I want to be able to find the oil in my land, but I can't do that. I can't do that. The process that
even though you're allowed to apply for a license, you're not economically equipped to do so because the system was wired that way. Is that the argument?
That's one part of the argument. Now, even if you have the economic capability to bid for it, you won't get it. There's a reason why today Nigeria's only hope of having a refinery is resting on Aliko Dangote. There's a reason. Dangote is from a place where there is no drop of oil, but all of a sudden he's the person that is going to have the functioning or the only functional refinery in this country. Is it that the Niger Delta people who, if you look at the literacy rate of this country, this part of the country has the highest literacy rate. So why doesn't that translate?
Well, I mean, Dangote is a private citizen, well, with enormous power. Are there no powerful private citizens in the South? Is that the argument you're making? Or is there a choice not to go into that kind of business? Do you think that there's...
What I'm saying is that the system has simply been created to keep the Niger Delta people out of benefiting from a resource. It's as simple as that. And that is why all avenue that the Niger Delta people have used to clamor for the benefit, for them to benefit from their resources, have been criminalized.
Okay, Sasa, I'll come back to you. And when I come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Niger Delta Congress, the organization that you represent. I know that Elanhub.net have carried a lot of your press releases, and I'd like to dig into some of the particular choice of words and the things you've said there. And the reason that we do this, I keep saying, Elanhub.net is a media website, and what we do is to provide this platform for as many voices as possible. Then we allow our readers and the Nigerian state or the world to make up their choice, what they believe in, or just engage in the conversation or debates. So I'll move now to Kofi, and I'll say you've listened to Sata, right? Do you agree with some of the assessments? Do you agree with everything that he said? Like, the Niger Delta is set up to fail. That's what he keeps on saying. That's like the grand narrative here. The Niger Delta, NDDC is set up to fail. As a result of that, the Niger Delta is not working effectively, and people are responsible for this. And these people are not necessarily just the Niger Deltans. Do you agree?
From his analogy, I think to an extent, I'll agree with him, because the elites, the northern elites, they don't want anything good to come out of the Niger Delta. For instance, when the federal government announced that those that are mining gold should come out for license, what the federal government has done is resource control for those people in the north. And it's an injustice to we, the people of the Niger Delta, because this is what we've been clamoring for a very long time. We have the oil. Let's control our resources. We sell them, we pay revenue to the federal government. That's all our agitations, our struggles, everything. And
we're losing Kofi there a bit. Okay, I switched out to white. White, what do you mean?
The federal government is necessary to
Kofi, go on.
Hello?
Yes,
So
we can hear you.
government are not doing it. they've not deemed it necessary to listen to we the Niger Deltas. But it's unfortunate that they've granted economic dependence to the people of the northern Nigeria in public. Some persons even betrayed the struggle. That's why we are suffering today. That's why we are suffering today. When Jonathan was president, why was our people not shouting of resource control, this, that? It was because people were going behind to collect from Jonathan. They go there, collect. They go here in the name of Abi Jonathan, Abi Niger Delta. They go there and collect this, and they forgot the real issues that have been bedfelling the Niger Delta people. Today now we have stood up again. We are talking about the same marginalization and the rest of them. It's unfortunate. There's a lot of things to say, but since our topic is being narrowed down to NDDC, I think it would be nice to talk more on the issues on NDDC. Then if there's other forums where we can talk about the real problems in the Niger Delta.
You're always welcome. Kofi, you're always welcome to Elanhub.net. We do this all the time. If that's the conversation you want to have, we'll have that conversation forever. But now I'd like to go to White. You're smiling. You tell us why you're smiling. The response to what Kofi, if it's about what Kofi is saying. But the particular question I have for you is it a problem of accountability or a problem of resource control? Is the problem here one of accountability or the problem is resource control? Tell us. So two questions.
First of all, while I was smiling is I made an opening statement earlier when we started. I mentioned that Nigeria is designed perfectly. You understand? It's well, everything is going fine. It is only when it doesn't favor you that it's not working very well. You understand? I can remember sometime it was in 2014 or so, or 2013. That was in 2015. Myself and Sata, you will agree that we had differing opinions because back then we had no, that was not. Was it around 2010 when we had Goodluck Jonathan as the president?
And 2014.
2014, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure that we wrote some bitters as well because we had differing opinions about what was actually happening, and that's why I would say that the system is working very well. If you have access to it and you're benefiting from it, it's good. But if you're not, then it's bad. About accountability or resource control. I think we need to gain complete resource control first of all before we can talk about accountability. It's only when something is in our own domain, then we can start talking about accountability and transparency on how it is being disbursed or whatever the activities that are actually happening. That's where we can question them. But at the moment, we do not have full resource control. And so we cannot talk about accountability. And everything points to leadership, which eventually comes down to us, Niger Delta, because at the end of the day, we deserve the kind of leadership that we have. If we have people who haven't represented us very well, and then they come back to their community, they smile and sit down with everybody's all right, it's going to continue. But when that man comes back, you see him lying down and flogging them on the floor in the community town hall, let him know that he has messed up. It's not going to happen again. It's as simple as that. So it's a problem of leadership that eventually boils down to us.
So you're saying it's not accountability before resource control. You're saying resource control first and accountability.
Yes.
Don't you see any flaw with that? Because, for example, this is bad. Let's say, for example, I agree with you guys that the system is bad. Then you want to, on top of the bad system, give people in power enormous control, even more power. And you want those people you've now given so much power to be accountable to you, the disempowered. How is that going to work? How is that possible? I understand the whole idea of going from top down, but sometimes you have to hold people responsible now before you give them more power. Is that not how it's supposed to be?
First of all, I cannot effectively manage what I don't have complete control over. And then again, I don't know. For me as a Niger Deltan, I wouldn't have issues if we have full resource. I may have issues, but it wouldn't. It's better. It would be comforting for me to have issues of accountability and a lot of full resource control. It is painful when it is someone else who is benefiting from what I ought to benefit from. But when I have full, complete management of it, then I can talk about accountability, which is the secondary issue.
Oh, okay. All right. You say the secondary issue. Okay, so Sata, let's talk about NDC. You've released a lot of press statements. And I would like to read some excerpts from the latest. First of all, you wrote and you said NDC seeks $75 billion compensation from FG, there's a federal government, and Shell. You tell us a little bit what's behind that. And then the second one, which is particularly reaction to what's going on, the NDDC saga. You said, as Nigeria, or the PAGMI as well, you said, as Nigeria approaches its 60th anniversary, the government should also understand and willingly accept the rights of the Niger Delta people to exploit their hydrocarbon resource without being shot at or having to shoot back. Source control, good for Katsina, but not good for rivers. And you're talking about PAGMI there. You also said the NDC notes that failure to extend these programs to the Niger Delta region in the shortest possible time will force the Congress to take steps it deems necessary for the benefit of the people of the region. What do you mean by shortest time possible and take steps deemed necessary? What do you mean by that? What were you trying to say?
We are simply trying to say that we are not unlike previous years where you have people just releasing statements and statements upon statements which are never respected by government or the people. The statements are directed at that we are going to take action. We must understand that everything that is happening to the Niger Delta is legal. Everything that is happening to the Niger Delta as of today is backed by law. And even those which are not backed by law, like the pollution, you can still circumvent them. There are still legal ways to circumvent them. This is, for example, you have oil exploration companies with headquarters outside the Niger Delta. There have been different press releases asking them to come back over the years, but it has never happened. Why? Because they feel that there's no consequence, that nothing will happen, that these people are just people who are looking for how to get money. So maybe you funnel a few million naira to these people and you continue doing what you're doing. What we are simply trying to say is that the Niger Delta has been set up to get economic and environmental justice, economic and political autonomy for the Niger Delta people. And we are hell-bent on getting that in the shortest possible time, using whatever means necessary to us.
What do you mean by whatever means necessary? Are you thinking about going to the courts? What do you mean by that? So that we'll know how we'll process it. How do we understand what you mean by whatever needs? What do you mean?
Niger Delta people are committed to peacefully getting resource control, but we must always understand that these things are not determined by the people. Okay. The government always look for ways to suppress you, and simply letting them know that whether or not they decide that they are going to shoot us into silence, that won't happen. We will not be shot into silence. We will not be bombed into silence. We will not be bullied into silence. That we are going to continue to mobilize, organize until we get our resource control. And it doesn't matter what it is that they do. So that's what we mean when we say by any means necessary.
Okay. Okay.
We're going to get what we're out for.
Because one might begin to think that there's a bit of violence there, but I'm really happy that you chose the word peacefully. Everyone listen. Nubari Sata has said the NDC is all about peace, no violence here. Sata, right?
No, we are committed to peacefully achieving our goals. We are committed to that.
Yes. Excellent. Because there is a series of calls about this statement. You know, when you said whatever it means necessary, because we know about the history of Niger Delta and we know that violence is not the way forward. But again, just if I switch now to Kofi, what should be done? The Senate, they've made some recommendations. For example, they said the presidency should take control of the NDDC, not the minister, meaning Senator Akpabi. They have said, they have admitted that they failed in their oversight.
Just flash.
Kofi, can you please put it on mute? Sorry. Thank you. Okay, they went on to say that there should be an immediate sack of the IMC headed by Professor Pondey. It should be sacked. And then the IMC should refund the 4.9 billion naira that it paid to itself What are your recommendations? What do you think should be done? Because if we have all this conversation and we don't have a way forward, I don't think would have made sense of today. I know that you're not equipped to provide all the solutions, but I'm sure people are listening. And then what do you think should be done? Do away with the NDDC, or what's the way forward for you?
Is it me?
Yes, Sata.
Well, I actually don't think the NDDC should be scrapped, as much as it doesn't achieve what it is supposed to achieve. There are good things that have come out from the NDDC, a bit in small measures. What I think the government should do is stop politicizing the NDC and making it something for party members to eat and benefit. There are people in this region who are capable of using the crumbs, because I call it crumbs, whatever is being allocated to NDDC is crumbs. There are people who are capable of utilizing these crumbs to actually do something substantial for the Niger Delta people. Get those people in and let them do something. Because all these, that's another reason why I'm not too keen at getting involved with this or recommending that you scrap and all, because at the end of the day, even the person recommending it to be handed, it's all political. So you might be here now agreeing with them and saying yes, and next week you just realize that, oh, this was why this person had this link and had this link, and you just look like a fool. So that's one of the reasons why I prefer to just stay away from the whole NDDC issue.
But name one person you think would do a good job. One name.
Nimobasi. Nimobasi.
President Buhari, I know you're listening to us, or you will listen to us, or your handlers will listen to us. Elanhub is that powerful, trust me. Yes. Nimobasi, consider him.
Reverend Nimobasi.
Reverend Nimobasi. Vice Daniel, what's the way forward? What should we do?
I think there needs to be consequence for whatever has happened, first of all, because that's the only way we learn in this country. We've had several investigations in several parastatals and all that, but they've never been consequence, and so people are not going to learn. So what action they're taking next, as long as there's no consequence, is going to happen and happen all over again. So this time, now there is a proper revelation. I call it proper revelation because at this time, everybody knows. There's social media. There are pictures. There are videos of the comedy that is happening. So we all know. So there needs to be some sort of consequence. If by whatever conclusion or result of that probe comes out, let whoever is found guilty, let something happen. Let the person be prosecuted and other people learn as well. Once there's a consequence, whenever there's an idea that bets, people will tread cautiously.
Okay. All right. Kofi, we're back to you now. What's the way forward? What should we do now? Kofi, are you there? You need to unmute.
Okay. I think the probe that is going on, I want to do the part of lend my voice to what White suggested, that there should be sort of lessons to those that are found capable of looting the NDDC. Those that are found wanting, the federal government should ensure that they deal with those people so that we serve as a deterrent for others to come on board. Like they always said, that there are some persons in the Niger Delta that with these crumbs that is coming into the NDDC, they can transform the NDDC. And it's imperative that we note this, that the NDDC to an extent have tried, not that NDDC has failed. NDDC have tried. Like if you come to Bayelsa, there are some routes that NDDC have constructed, pipe-borne water, even if the contracts are inflated. But there are some things that the NDDC have done in the Niger Delta, scholarship to our brothers and sisters who are studying abroad and the rest of them. They've tried, but the way forward, we need men and women of integrity to be appointed there. It shouldn't be a political, to bring company to come and some feelers. I'm talking to you now. On his own, they are some feeling and doing work. So we just need good men and women who knows the issues in Niger Delta to be appointed. There are some people who have this notion that NDDC should be scrapped. I wrote on my Facebook wall that you cannot throw the child and the beach water away. You can't throw them away. We should just look for good people to be at the helm of affairs and we'll move on from there. Thank you.
Okay, interested. But let me switch back to, you talked about consequences. Is that similar to what one of the stakeholders said about involving the EFCC to make arrests and take people to court? Is that the kind of consequence you're talking about?
I think there needs to be something more than that, because the EFCC in itself is also a political tool that may thwart the whole process as well. So there should be something much more than that. We don't want to go through series of probes and over again. The EFCC comes in, EFCC
Like
is going to do a different investigation.
Like flogging them in the community town hall, or what exactly are you talking about?
That should work for the local government chairman and the rest. But however, I think what I mean by proper consequence for those who are involved, there is a report, and I'm sure that report or whatever comes out of that investigation is recognized by the Senate, is recognized by the Nigerian police, and can be used as a means to prosecute anybody. If I'm right, so you have any need for EFCC. Maybe EFCC can come in as a buy agency to either support the work that has already been done or to carry out its own function as well. But people need to be jailed. Properties needs to be seized. Accounts need to be blocked. There's a lot more that needs to be done.
Okay,
There
so
needs to be real consequences.
Now withdrawing these powers in terms of physical resources of acquired over time. We're talking about seizing money. You're talking about arrest, jail time. That's the kind of consequence you're talking about. Okay.
Yes, and shaming as well.
And shaming.
Yes, anything to tarnish their image.
Oh, okay.
Let's want that. Because if you allow these people that Nigerian law...
Kofi, what you're calling for is jungle justice.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not jungle justice, because if you take these people to court, to EFCC, these people, they have millions of naira to carry sands. Some of them will bring 20 to 40 advocates to come and defend them. And at the end of the day, they grant them bail, they go home. But if I know that this is my neighbor, this man thief government money, build this house, all the proofs are there. IYC, oh yeah, let's go there and burn down his house.
How will you see the proof, for example, if they don't go to court? I mean, for something to be accepted as evidence.
For instance, now, like this probe, if at the end of the day, the Nigerian Senate, the National Assembly, they ratify this probe that, look, they have come out to the probe, and these persons, so persons are the people causing problems in the Nigeria. They use this money. It was from this money that this person used to build this hotel. It is this money that this person used to build so house. It is this money that this person used to buy a private jet. After the investigation, those properties should be confiscated and be burnt. That would be a deterrent to
others. Hold on, Kofi. If I just relax a bit. Sasa, do you agree? Will there be an end? Because when people take this money to know how Nigeria is wired, right? I take, like, not me though. So one person steals the money and then they start sharing to the boys. How far can you really trace these funds? If you're going to burn the man's house, what about his brother's house and the brother's friend's house and the girlfriend's house and the uncle's house? You know, somehow, how far does this go? Do you agree with what Kofi is saying here? Is this the kind of content you want to see?
The truth is, stolen funds, the chain is very long.
Mm-hmm.
Chain is very long, and only legitimate people benefit from stolen funds. And that's the truth. So I really, it's just complicated. That's why I prefer I like what Daniel said about just control before accountability.
Okay.
Because the truth is, it will be difficult to want to be accountable, because as it stands now, there is my thief versus your thief.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truth. Because if at the end of the day you start saying, okay, you want, and at the end of the day, the people you're attacking more are from the Niger Delta, it will change. The whole narrative will change from, oh, you want to. And so it's just complicated.
It's complex. I agree. Kofi, do you now see why what you're saying might not really be sustainable? Because if, for example, they made me and I steal money, then I see Kofi and I hand him like 1M, hold your side. You know, you're part of the gang. Who will come and find you? If they burn my house, what about the car you're driving? Kofi, are you there?
I'm here. I'm hearing you.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Are you going to shift ground now, or
because
you're that?
why I hold on to that opinion Why I hold on to that opinion is because of we have seen how corruption cases are being handled in this country. You see where somebody will loot public funds, at the end of the day, the person will come to EFCC office, the person will pay many lawyers, and they will fill in the courtroom. At the end of the day, one person will faint, the person will come with stretcher, the person will come with this. At the end of the day, they will just bail the person, and the person is set free.
Kofi, you had to bring that in. I was thinking that you were joking about I stand with Kunde, but you had to bring that in. Can you please not talk about stretchers? Can you please not talk about people fainting? Right? Can we just be nice for one?
We can't be nice to these people, though. We can't be nice to them. No. Like me, I'm an Ijo youth, eh?
Yeah.
I don't go about following politicians. I don't follow them. I have a lot of them as friends. They are assembly members, House of Reps members. Some of them are even ministers that sometimes we do chat on Facebook. I don't go close to them because of how some of them they behave. They don't deliver the dividends of democracy to the people. So for our youths that are going around these politicians, you want to share money with them. Hallelujah for you. But for some of us that have integrity and value, we don't do such. Because what we need.
Sorry, okay. I think that's why that's what fits your idea. Because if you're saying, okay, the judgment has been done, you want to mobilize boys to go and burn somebody's house. You think the man hasn't paid some section of the other boy that will also act as defense to them. So I think we should learn how to channel that energy to the system.
Yeah.
If we can channel that energy to the system.
Yes, we can channel the energy to the system, but the system already has failed. Now, for instance, we are talking about this Niger Delta. This Niger Delta, you need to see what our people, what have come into the Niger Delta. For instance, trillions of naira has come into NDDC since its inception till today. But we've not seen anything, but we've seen houses and cars being bought by people that have been at the helm of affairs in NDDC. It's very, very unfortunate places. Something must work.
All of these countries, they have their issues the same way we have our own unique issues. So I don't like to make these comparisons because, of course, when you go to Rwanda, you have people making their own complaints. Go to the United States, for example, over the news just yesterday, people are burning houses and lots of stuff going on there. There are issues of race and all of that. You come to the UK, there are issues all over the place. We just have to find a way to resolve our own issues. And that's what we're talking about, particularly the NDDC. But I'll just take final words from everyone.
Sorry, Sarah, let me just ask you a question. Sorry.
Go on.
What do you think is the way forward?
Okay, well, the fact is, I'm doing the interviewing here. I'm asking the questions. If you will have that conversation, just before I take the final word, remember, you've been having all this fun. I've had an education. This is like an educating moment for me. I've learned a lot listening to these staunch advocates and activists of the Niger Delta, and I hope that you have. But I'll take the final word from Sata now. Any final words? What have you got to say? Anything to leave people with?
I would like to, this message is specifically for the Niger Delta people. I would like them to not despair because they have seen their leadership and actually it weakens when you see that your leadership has failed you over and over and over again and you just get tired, you just lose hope. I would like to tell the Niger Delta people that they should not lose hope and emancipation and what everything we've been praying for and hoping for decades, very soon will actually be our reality.
Okay. And I'm sure they've listened to you. Sata Nobari is a passionate advocate and activist of the Niger Delta region, and he's also the face of the Niger Delta Congress. Thank you so much for making it here. We're so grateful. So know that you continue to bring your press releases to elanhub.net. We're open to conversation when you have events.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Kofi, over to you now. Final words before we go on and we'll have our own conversations.
Okay, my final word is that the Niger Delta region, we should try and talk to our brothers and sisters. We should have the Niger Delta at heart for our development. If an opportunity is being given to any of us, we should try and ensure that we deliver. We should try and ensure that we deliver in any assignments that have been given to us, maybe in NDDC or wherever we find ourselves, because we have been marginalized for a very long time. So we should just try and see how we'll come together, unite ourselves, and work together for the growth and development of the region.
Oh, very safe words there. Kofi Ennis, is the face of Bielsa as far as Facebook is concerned. It has over like close to 5,000 soldiers. And when Kofi sneezes on Facebook, everybody jumps. So thank you for making it down here. And we want to ask Kofi to please not only follow us, show our content, share our content, Elanhub.net, encourage your friends to follow us and also share our content.
Yeah.
Always welcome. Thank you for finding it to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take the final word from Vice Daniel. Vice Daniel, like I said, is as much Elanhub.net as I am. And he's also the years and he hardly likes to appear on camera. So we're really excited that he made it here. Final word today.
Okay, I want everyone listening to this or watching this to know that the emancipation of Niger Delta and getting resource control lies in the responsibility of everybody. And so it will be a team of shame that in the past, we have people who fought for these things and they died. Today, we have access to a lot of things like the internet, people, so much more. Let's do whatever we can is right to make sure that we get whatever is right for us.
Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. We're so grateful. My name is Sarah. This has been a special Elanhub.net event. I'm here to asking these questions from London. Thank you for technology. I would like to thank the extended arm and support we've got from Joseph Kallio and Kingsley, all the way from Lagos, making all of this possible. And if you're watching from Facebook, remember to follow Elanhub.net, visit our website, Elanhub.net. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. Engage with us, always express, don't be silent, let's keep talking. We've tried to make an attempt described as the NDDC Conundrum. Have we found solutions? They have said, nobody has said, look, we need men of integrity. And personally, I agree. He's mentioned one name, Nino Bassi. So anyone that is responsible to anyone, please whisper this name to the ear of the president. We need to make the Niger Delta better. They've talked about Ankyo Briggs. They've mentioned some names. Let's see if that will be the path forward. And then Kofi and why they've talked about accountability, they've talked about holding people responsible. We want to see people go to jail if they're guilty. We want to and so on and so forth. Thank you so much for finding this time to be here. Thank you, Sata. Thank you, White. Thank you, Kofi. And thank you, Joseph Kallio, for making all of this possible. Thank you, Kingsley, for providing extra support. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.